Veterans, VR&E is changing faster than I've ever seen, and if you don't know the rules for 2026, you're going to lose benefits you already earned. So let's break down everything you need to know, from eligibility and training to the new evidence rules, shutdown delays, and the AI-driven job losses the VA still isn't preparing for. Hey, I'm Benjamin Krause, VA-accredited attorney and veteran who used VR&E to become a lawyer. For more than a decade, I've helped veterans win advanced training approvals, independent living plans, business plans, and appeals after bad VR&E denials. Through my work at Krause Law and my reporting on disabledveterans.org, I've exposed systemic failures inside of VR&E and helped thousands of veterans fight back when the program gets it wrong. So this is the official 2026 VR&E FAQ, updated, accurate, and built from real cases I work on every day. So here's the core VR&E frequently asked questions, and then we'll dive into the other stuff here toward the end about what's happening right now. So first, what is VR&E? VR&E, short for Veteran Readiness and Employment, formerly called Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment, or Chapter 31, is the VA's program to help veterans with service-connected disabilities prepare for, find, and maintain suitable employment. If employment isn't feasible, VR&E also offers independent living services to help veterans achieve maximum independence at the home. So number 2, who's eligible? You may qualify if you have a service-connected disability rating of 10% or higher. Your disabilities cause an employment handicap, your discharge was not dishonorable, and you're within the 12-year eligibility window, unless, of course, you qualify for an extension under serious employment handicap, or if you're one of the veterans that qualify for the Forever GI Bill and you were separated on or after about 2013, then you don't have to worry about that 12-year eligibility window. All right, so number 3, what does employment handicap mean? It basically means your service-connected disabilities make it harder for you to prepare for, obtain, or maintain suitable employment. It also means that you are not qualified for suitable employment, or even if you are qualified for suitable employment but unemployed, then you may qualify under employment handicap. This is the issue where most denials happen and where most appeals are won. All right, now number 4, what benefits does VR&E provide? Well, VR&E can pay for college degrees, graduate school, including law degrees, medical school, technical training and certifications, apprenticeships, and OJT, job search assistance, resume and interview coaching, work accommodations, tutoring, laptops, software, adaptive technology, independent living services. VR&E is one of the most powerful benefits the VA offers when it works. So how do I apply? You apply using the VA Form 28-1900. You can find that on va.gov, or you can also apply in the portal. Pretty easy to do, apply electronically. After that, assuming that you're found eligible, a vocational rehabilitation counselor working for VR&E or a counselor working for a contractor will contact you for an initial evaluation where they evaluate whether you have a vocational impairment, whether the vocational impairment is linked to your service-connected disabilities, and then whether you've overcome the effects of that impairment, and also if you have a serious employment handicap. Whole bunch of things. Now, number 6. So what happens after I apply? VA will review eligibility. You will then, if eligible, meet with a VRC, vocational rehabilitation counselor, to determine if you have an employment handicap, a serious employment handicap, and to evaluate whether it is feasible for you to pursue a vocational goal. During that meeting, you will discuss your medical limitations and career goals. Now, if you're approved, you will then go on to build a personalized rehabilitation plan and or build out a plan for independent living services. So number 7, how long does the program last? Most veterans receive up to 48 months of entitlement. There are extensions available on certain unique situations, such as veterans with a serious employment handicap, where they need additional advanced training or other things. Most veterans, though, receive up to 48 months and are not usually found entitled to an extension. Number 8, can I use VR&E and the GI Bill together? Well, kind of. So you cannot receive the subsistence payment and tuition support under both programs at the same time. It's strongly encouraged for veterans to use VR&E first so that you save back your GI Bill months And then after you're done with VR&E, you could potentially use that GI Bill to go on for additional training. Number 9, how does my disability rating affect my VR&E benefits? Well, a lot of veterans over 50%, especially 70%, will have a strong chances of being approved and for training. 20 to 40, solid eligibility for entitlement for training and employment, lower odds of getting graduate training, but that's not always true. 10%, you must clearly prove that you have a serious employment handicap. So at 10%, you only qualify if you have a serious employment handicap, which is determined during the initial evaluation. Now here, if you are denied, you can appeal. And veterans win these appeals every day, all the time, with strong evidence. We work on denials like this all the time. Number 10, what challenges do veterans face in the VR&E process? Well, we're going to call it the big 4. Proving the employment handicap exists, getting accurate guidance from inexperienced counselors, which is a big problem, coordinating with VR&E with your other benefits, and then 4, navigating denials and mixed messaging during plan development. Number 11, what tips can help me succeed with VR&E? I think the biggest thing is to gather strong medical evidence, document everything, including your correspondence with VR&E. Definitely document your job logs and your attempts, if unsuccessful, at gaining and maintaining suitable employment. So job applications, denial emails, things like that. Keep copies of every VR&E document that you get. Clarify your long-term career goal if you're unclear. Read over your rehabilitation plan very closely before you sign it. This is key. If you don't agree with what the plan says and the goal, don't sign the document because you could be stuck with it. Don't sign stuff you don't agree with or you don't understand. Veterans who document and communicate clearly with their vocational rehabilitation counselor win more often than veterans who don't. So number 12, where can I get help? There's a lot of different places. You can go to your local VA regional office to just talk with the vocational rehabilitation counselor about your case. If they are open, you could potentially also set up a Zoom call. You can go talk with veteran service officers at the regional office. They provide free help. You can also talk to VA-accredited attorneys like myself or claims agents. We don't charge for our help unless there is already a decision. So if we're helping on an initial claim, we do that pro bono. You can also go to our 40,000 member Facebook group. In fact, I think we're up to 46,000 right now. Facebook group, Disabled Veterans Chapter 31 Voc Rehab. It's the largest and oldest of its kind on Facebook. You can also get our free guides at disabledveterans.org. I encourage you to check out our veteran readiness and employment page. So section 2, here's some enhanced details that you should know that's part of this FAQ. Does VR&E approve graduate programs? Yes. And veterans win approvals for law school, medical school, counseling degrees, psychology, doctorates, MSWs, engineering, MBAs, and more. But you have to justify it. You have to do a great job documenting why that additional training is necessary or you will lose. Number 14, can VR&E fund a business? Yes, in part, but approvals after 2009 have been pretty tricky. Got a little bit easier in 2017, 2015, somewhere in there, but now it's getting pretty hard because of the amount of time and effort that goes into building those plans and the budget pressures within VR&E, both for critical infrastructure and hiring, where the counselor doesn't have enough time to build out these cases, and also just the resources that it takes. A lot of counselors, unfortunately, will deny a good business plan simply because they can't do the work, don't know what they're doing, or don't have the time. 15, what makes a job, quote, suitable? A suitable job must match your medical limitations, skills, abilities, prior experience, maybe, long-term career path, but most importantly, your interests. VR&E skips over interests quite a bit, but they're supposed to consider it. So a suitable job must be consistent with your aptitudes, abilities, and interests, and not impermissibly aggravate your disabilities. Now, there's going to be certain situations where a veteran can't avoid their disabilities being aggravated. It would be aggravated no matter what, but they need to be active in work. There's going to be an exception there. But aside from that, just a hard rule to consider, it must be consistent with your aptitudes, abilities, and interests. interests and not impermissibly aggravate your disability. So, for example, if you have a really bad back and all these musculoskeletal problems, becoming a nurse may not be a great fit for you because it's going to aggravate your disabilities. Instead, what you might want to do is pursue or ask for approval of advanced nursing training. So becoming like a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant so that you can get into a job that you have more control over your environment, less musculoskeletal issues, and potentially still have a fulfilling job helping people, treating patients, while hopefully not aggravating your disabilities in a way that is going to cause permanent injury. All right, what's new for 2026, fiscal year 2026? This is where everything is changing and gets into the state of what VR&E is doing. So first, VR&E now requires and is requiring, depending on the office where you're at, much stronger evidence. Not all offices are like this, but some definitely are ratcheting it down. So counselors will demand clear medical justifications, functional impact type documents, detailed career reasoning on why your existing training is insufficient, especially if you want graduate training. That's already required, but the extent to which it's needed to be documented is becoming more onerous on the veteran to prove, instead of the VRC doing the documentation for you because they don't have the time, the resources, or they don't know how because they're untrained. You're going to need proof that lower level work is not suitable or aggravates your disabilities, that the type of graduate training is necessary and proving it is going to be a little bit more challenging. And then independent living services, more steps. A lot of this has to do with VA OIG investigations into VR&E and VR&E then ratcheting down their policies on how they approve or not approve certain things and the type of documentation that's required. It's becoming a lot harder to prove, and in my opinion, is not consistent with a pro-veteran system. Number two, appeals are increasing and becoming more formalized. There is an increase in denials as the increase in requirements and scrutiny for evidence is ratcheted down, right? So denials are rising. There's going to be more higher level reviews. The staff is just overworked. They have a quota to follow as far as getting the cases done and out in a certain time. And so it's easier for them to deny than it is to approve something and get hit later by QA or something like that. So we're going to be seeing more bad decisions coming out that are going to require an appeal of some kind. Counselor roulette is over. This is number 3. VA is locking down veterans when they try to reapply to get a new counselor who might be more favorable than the old counselor that previously denied. For about the past 5 years, veterans have simply been reapplying to VR&E rather than appealing, hoping that they would get a better outcome. That tends to be a much faster solution, but it's also resulted in many regional offices being overworked and having more initial work to do than they normally would if the veteran just appealed. This type of approach is not really consistent with the Appeals Modernization Act, and it will be changing. It was supposed to change in 2025. However, with the change in administration, they weren't able to lock down this particular change. Odds are we're going to be seeing this in fiscal year 2026. Number 4, VR&E is using more automation and AI. You're going to be seeing more automated notes, more AI type risk scoring, templated decisions, which we already see a lot of this anyway. The leadership is moving in the way of embracing AI everywhere within Veteran Benefits Administration. It's going to also be moving into VR&E, I suspect, even though VR&E is a high touch kind of adjudication where it really needs to be done by a person. I suspect AI is going to be augmenting a lot of that work. Moving forward, we're going to be seeing more algorithmic SEH flagging, meaning serious employment handicaps are going to be more difficult to secure. Of course, with the serious employment handicap, you can then qualify for extensions as well as additional training beyond 48 months, frequently higher level training, things like that. So we're going to see SEH probably take a hit. We're going to be seeing automation speed things up. We're already seeing the agency moving in the direction of outsourcing claims to other regional offices, similar to what we're seeing in compensation and pension. I've been seeing this in some of the cases I've been working on. So it's important to know that some of this is going to be changing. Number 5, severe staffing shortages. This has been going on for about 2 years now, 3 years, where they've been under-resourced as far as the number of employees, while the number of veterans that are using VR&E benefits has completely ballooned, in part because of the PACT Act and failure to forecast the increase that did occur once all these veterans received new VA ratings for their disabilities. It has also resulted in a significant jump in the number of veterans applying for and qualifying for VR&E benefits and training. The new New hires are often inexperienced, overwhelmed, and undertrained. The caseload is huge. They're well over 200. It was admitted back in 2012 or 2013 that VR&E should not have over 125 cases per VR counselor. Now they're up over 200, and they just can't seem to find the right mix of hiring. Plus, with the Doge and some of these other things, we've seen a lot of VRE staff retire and also quit. Number 6, backlogs are literally blowing up. Delays are hitting now because of the shutdown. And we saw an increase of applications. I want to say it was like 60,000 over 45 days. VRE was already running behind for higher level reviews and for supplemental claims and for initial evaluations. Some offices were taking up to a year to get a new veteran case in, which is completely unacceptable. And so I think now, because of the shutdown and potential future shutdowns that may happen, we're going to be seeing more delays, bigger backlogs, and more time, unless the agency suddenly hires a bunch more counselors and contractors. But unfortunately, the trade-off will be speed over quality, meaning more denials or lowball type approvals where a veteran gets approved for lower level training than they should have otherwise received. Number 7, the PACT Act surge has definitely overwhelmed VR&E. VA prepared for new disability claims, but not really the massive increase in VR&E applications that followed. The failure is creating, as I said before, more denials, longer delays, more evidence requirements, and more overwhelmed counselors, leading to more stress on the veterans and a higher level of difficulty actually just getting the benefits that you should otherwise be entitled to. Now, number 8, shutdowns. Shutdowns are causing permanent damage. Shutdowns create delayed appointments, paused IL services, late tuition payments, backlogs. Veterans are just not getting the benefits they need that they're entitled to, and it's causing for them permanent damage in their economic ability and also stress, disabilities, things like that. These are very real problems that the shutdowns are causing, and it's going to result in permanent financial, economic, and emotional injury to a lot of these veterans. So number 9, VR&E is tightening the budget. So what this means is probably fewer approvals. So they're going to be, as the evidence requirements increase, then we're going to be seeing a lot more pushback on law school, medical school, technical degrees, independent living services, self-employment plans, and specifically high-cost training programs going to like Ivy League schools. That's something we work on quite a bit here at Krause Law, and I can tell you a ton of veterans are being denied. They're being wrongly denied, but if they don't reach out for help, they end up taking out the student loans and getting hit with $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 training programs that VR&E really is supposed to pay for. And number 10, VR&E is not preparing veterans for AI-driven job loss. This is one of the most dangerous blind spots VR&E has right now. They're not really approving training for careers that are going to be needed in the future, and they're still ratcheting down on veterans with existing training and skill sets for the old economy pre-AI. And their inability to address this properly is resulting in a lot of veterans being wrongly denied benefits that they really need in order to get the career they need in order to survive. And part of that is going to be future-proofing the career and training process that veterans are looking at and that VR&E is requiring. They're just simply not anticipating and getting in front of what's happening with greater AI, automation, the current recession, depending on the industry you're talking about, economic volatility with tariffs and other things. There's a lot of variables that VR&E is not properly addressing, and veterans are the ones that are going to be paying the price. So veterans navigating VR&E fiscal year 2026, which started October, but will be moving forward until next October, it requires more strategy, more evidence, and more awareness than any year before. It's going to get harder, but if we're able to build out these decision-ready claim packages and fight for your rights using resources that are available and representation when needed, I think there's a path forward. The system right now, though, is strained. Your goals are still achievable anyway with the right plan, the right documentation, and the right advocacy. If you need help with VR&E, appeals, independent living, or dealing with the denial for advanced training, definitely check out the resources we have on disabledveterans.org, within the Facebook group, Disabled Veterans Chapter 31, Voc Rehab, or you can just reach out to me and the team at Krause Law if you have a question or need us to take a look over a denial. Anyway, until next time, take care. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Veteran Rights Podcast, and we'll talk soon.